So this is my little swatty 7-year-old boy. What did we just watch? With your blue tongue with sweets. What did we just watch?
We watched the 1966 World Cup.
What was it? The official video of it, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, so we're gonna Jesse is gonna, with a little bit of prompting for me though, but mainly gonna be Jesse, because he's a little swat like I am, is gonna tell us all of the groups and the quarterfinalists and the semi-finalists and the finalists, starting from the groups. So who was England's group?
It was France, Mexico, Uruguay and England.
Right, and then who was Brazil's group?
Brazil.
Think about who did they started off and they won their first game against someone in white.
Brazil.
They played Portugal, yeah. Portugal's in the group, but this wasn't them. That's the last one where they need to win and they lose. Who's the first game? They played someone in white. Give me the B as well.
Bulgaria.
Yeah, and then in the middle game is against a team that used to be good years ago. Playing red with white socks and white shorts and green socks. And they get knocked out in the quarterfinals by Russia.
Oh, by Russia.
And they're the finalists in the 1954 World Cup.
54. Did they win?
No, they're finalists. They didn't win. They've never won a World Cup, but they got to 2 finals. Come on.
Hungary.
Yes, well done. Right, and then you've got Italy's group, which is Italy. Come on.
Russia.
Yeah, Russia. They lost their second game to Russia. Who'd they lose their last game to that knocked them out?
Oh, North Korea.
Yeah, and their first game they beat, because they played them 4 years before in the Battle of Santiago.
Chile.
Yeah, Chile. And then last of all then, the last group, and we couldn't figure this out before. See if you can remember now. So the last group is West Germany's group. So who's in West Germany's group?
West Germany. Argentina.
Correct, yeah. With Germany, Argentina. And then they beat, where is your mum from that they beat?
Switzerland.
And then we couldn't think of who this was. We're going to have to look it up. Bonus points if anyone can figure out who the other team that Germany played. We watched the game, but I can't remember it now. Right. So let's move on. Let's move on quickly because we've got a tournament to be at. Quarterfinals. Who was the quarterfinals between? So England went through their group. Who did they play their quarterfinal against? Captain got sent off for looking his eye.
Oh, Uruguay.
No. They're neighbours. Uruguay's neighbours are... No, what country's next to Uruguay? First World Cup final was between the two teams. Come on. Come on. Let's move on from England's one then. Who did Portugal play when it 3-0 down?
North Korea.
North Korea. Who did Germany play? And they had 2 players sent off, and then Germany just go crazy after that. Yeah, go on. Uruguay. Who did Russia play? We just talked about them being really good back in the day, but they're not good now. And the guy kicks the ball out of the goalie's hands. Hungary. So then who does England play? The captain gets sent off for the look in his eye. Argentina. Come on. We're running out of time here. We've got a tournament to get to. Right, last one. Semi-finals. Who's the semi-finals between?
Semi-finals are between England
and
West Germany.
Yeah, but they're the two that got to the final. Who did they beat? Yeah, England beat Portugal. And who did West Germany beat? With an old goalkeeper. And you said, why has he not got his hat? Yeah. Who did Lashian play for? Russia. And then the final was?
England versus West Germany.
Right, let's go and win the tournament.
Welcome to this episode of Meanwhile in Andorra podcast, where two guys talk football, nonsense, and everything in between. It's what a great intro we've just had as well, because we've just had Jesse doing a great video for us, for those who are watching and for those who are listening. Trav, do you want to give us a bit of background about the video?
Yeah. I'm your host, Travis Newton. Ricky, you forgot to say your name in there, by the way. Still not quite got. He got the intro, but not the name.
That was all my concentration right there on the intro.
I know, right? You put everything into it. Heart and soul. No, Jesse. So Ricky and I were talking off air a minute ago, and my son Jesse is basically a carbon copy of me. If you ask any of my family, he basically is living my life just 38 years later, and he is obsessed with the World Cup like I am as well. So we've been avidly watching World Cups, and I've basically been taking him through a World Cup education from 1930, and we're through to 1970 now. He wants to kind of rush along, but I'm like, no, you can't take it all in if you go too quickly. But we filmed that video today where we basically sat down and watched, and we'll talk about it a bit later, but we sat down and watched the official video for the 1966 World Cup as part of the research for this pod today. And he now, as a result, can basically recall the entire 1966 World Cup, including teams, groups, everything, with the exception of, and for those of you who've seen the video, with the exception of remembering Spain were that one team that was missing from the group that had Germany, Argentina, Switzerland and Spain, and we couldn't think of it for the life of us, which is what killed us. But I then had to go cheat and Google it afterwards. But that's what the video was all about.
It's amazing as well to see the knowledge, and I also, knowing you and knowing what you have around. Have you shown him Subbuteo yet? Have you taken him through that?
It's in the loft, mate. They're not allowed to touch it yet. Like they're
I was
genuinely
wondering if
not
they're
allowed
allowed
to touch
to.
it.
Yeah.
Me and my brother, who I'm hoping is what I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but like if he does watch this, he'll tell you all about it. We spent long hours in our childhood playing each other, playing Subbuteo. My brother was always better than me at it. And I just, for me, it's like I carried on collecting it beyond being a child. So like when I got into like late teens, when you have a little bit of disposable income, like when I say disposable income, we're talking like a tenner, because teams weren't that expensive. I think they're like £3 a team. I bought loads of teams that, and with the advent of the internet and stuff like that as well, we were able to go on eBay and buy teams, and then obviously started collecting it more. So I've got a lot of stuff up in my loft, right, that's untouched, unboxed, boxed, unboxed, if that makes sense. And the kids are like, when can we play? And I'm like, never, because if you ever break it, you will live somewhere else. So never at the moment, yeah.
It suddenly came to my mind as I was thinking about it. I was like, because knowing how much Jesse is like you, I was then like, right, I wonder if he's let him near the Subbuteo yet. Because I can imagine the kids would love it, but it's a different ballgame to kids today. It wouldn't get the treatment that we would have given it.
Yeah,
They would not be ironing those pitches.
Ironing a pitch, man. The memories already. Ironing a pitch. You felt like you'd relayed Wembley when you ironed the pitch, because every so often you'd play it for a bit on like a crit pitch that hadn't been ironed for a few times, and it'd be crap, like the ball's bobbling all over the place and this, that, and the other. And then the one time you iron the pitch, do it for a cup final. That's what I'd do. For a cup final, I'd iron the pitch, learn the words to abide with me for a little bit. It was like, you know when you see those things where people play Football Manager and they get carried away with it. That was me with Subbuteo, aged like 10. Like just
you're wearing a rosette for the day.
Yeah, pretending I was the Duchess of Kent as I hand the cup out to a little plastic man.
That's hilarious. That's brilliant. So, as Trevor's alluded to, we're talking about the 1966 World Cup today, all things about it, not just the ending, but about everything, because it was one of the most dramatic tournaments, really, including and it led to a lot of changes as well, because things that happened or didn't, and then, but the build up to it, there was just so much drama in the lead up to it.
Yeah.
You talked about this with Jesse as well, didn't you? Describing
it's quite big. Yeah. Like, as you say, like the 66 is a really funny one, because like obviously, and I think we both thought, this would be a really good to cover, because obviously England won. We're both English, and it's our one and only victory. It's almost like an anomaly a little bit in the way it was held. It's the only one that's ever been held in England. And it doesn't seem like we're going to get one anytime soon either. And as you say, like it's just everything about it. Like, yeah, the build up, like literally right from the fact that Pickles found the cup. I was in my notes. It's what Ricky's alluding to. In my notes, I talked about that. So my son who's literally following in my footsteps, we were talking about the 1966 World Cup, and I said, like it was on display in a thing and in like a museum or something, and it got stolen. And he was like, huh? They stole the World Cup. And I was like, yeah, and a dog found it in a bush. And he's like, he just couldn't get his head. I was like, you got to remember, it's not 2026 where like you've got like maximum security, like this, that, and the other. It was 1966. It was in the equivalent of like a town hall or something like that. And someone just nicked it.
It was a stamp exhibition.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's mad, isn't it? It's probably like the local village fete, and it was just there. The Jules Rimet trophy on display. Some dude in black just came and took it. It wouldn't happen now, would it? You would never get it.
Here's the first stamp with the new Prince of Wales's head next to this World Cup trophy.
Yeah, exactly. Next to the World Cup. This solid gold thing that's worth like so much to everybody in football. And we've just put it on display in this, we've like, I bet they didn't even have to break glass to get to it or anything like that. I don't even know where it was on, like, I bet it was just out. Like on a,
It's that old thing of, no, it's too British to steal it. Like, it's...
Yeah. It's like, obviously we trust each other, like, yeah. But it was stolen. And then, like I was saying, he's like, where he's like 7 and really moral, he can't get, like, he was like, what? So they stole the World Cup? And I'm like, yeah. And then he was like obsessed with the fact that it was stolen and then got thing. And then I was like, well, you never guess what happened to it in the end. And he was like, tell me. And I was like, well, the next World Cup, Brazil and Italy, basically, the winner of that final basically gets to keep it because they both won it twice until that point. And then Brazil get to keep it and it got stolen again. And he's like, huh? It was stolen. So he's like, and he's like, well, who found it? And I'm like, no, it's never been found. It was probably been melted down. And then we start talking about...
Pickles weren't around by that point.
Yeah, Pickles was, in 83 or whatever. Pickles was long gone, unfortunately. But, then we start talking about Bobby Moore and the jewellery in Mexico in 70. And his face was just like, oh my God, this is just theft everywhere. He's so young and 7 and innocent and like literally like another funny thing is we've been talking about Garrincha lots because obviously in his part of his World Cup education I'm trying to like be like a bit contrarian and be like, look, Pele was good, but like there was another dude called Garrincha as well. And I was like, yeah, and he had polio as a kid and his legs were bent and blah blah blah. And the one takeaway he's got from that whole Garrincha thing is he's got bent legs. So we watched him in '66 score a goal against Bulgaria in the group stage when he scores a free kick. And Jesse's like, from that, you can't really see his legs are bent. And I was like, they don't care. They're not trying to show his bent legs. They're trying to show the free kick, man. Like, they don't like, trust me, he's got bent legs. Like, it's fine.
You just reminded me. I remember when we were younger and one of my friends had bowed legs. And the teacher was like, that means you're going to be as good as Garrincha. And we were like, what?
Not sure. Again, probably wouldn't have happened in 2026, but teachers touting him to be the next Garrincha.
It was amazing. We were like,
the fellas of Romford.
The thing is, as kids, we were like, wow, Leslie's got bowed legs. This is the ticket. Like
playing barefoot in the street in Romford town centre.
Definitely, and it didn't happen, but yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think of an equivalent to Copacabana nearby. Southend Beach, is that?
South, yeah, probably. Jolly Boys out into Margate or something.
Yeah, Clacton.
Speaking of which, we do later have to talk about Ancelotti enjoying the Carnival.
Yeah, do you know? I did see something. I haven't actually seen that, so you can educate me on that. But I did see something with him and Ronaldo. Was that the thing?
And then the thing with him and Ronaldo basically telling him to drink up. And like celebrating from a bus, being like the drunk guy who sees his best friend from yards away, being like, yeah, drink. And then Ancelotti's just playing it cool, like drinking 2 fingers worth and waving. And then the next thing you see pictures of Ancelotti just surrounded doing a 4-way kiss with 4 Brazilian girls. Like,
amazing.
The most Ancelotti thing.
Taken to the national team manager's job like a duck to water.
He's not coming back to Europe.
Yeah, he's not doing that again.
He's
Screw the
found
Champions
his life.
League. So what if we can't win the World Cup because we're probably not favourites? Doesn't matter. It's just in Rio.
He's
at Carnival.
He signed a 12-year deal today.
It's just at Carnival like Romario used to be.
Literally, in some random Brazil top as well. Like, it's just like obviously they've made a shirt for him just for the Carnival. But yeah, it is. Yeah, you got to see the clips. It's hilarious.
I will have a look. I will have a look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, back on subject though. Yeah, we were talking.
So
stuff happened before. Like and then. I mean, did you know that there was a boycott of the African nations in the qualifiers.
And it was because there was this controversy of how
few
only
places
one
they
can
had.
qualify. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, back in '66, it wasn't even one. It was like they had to then play off with someone. That's what they were saying. They were like, you need to guarantee us a spot. Now, I know that it didn't, it's only 1982 where you start getting spots for more than one African side, which is why you then start seeing, like, you know, African sides make an impact. But in '66, it literally wasn't even one spot. It was, they said basically, you can get through and then you have to play like Australia and everyone else like that. And it was like, nah, man, look, we should have a spot. And obviously they didn't, and they boycotted, and just looking at that, I was like, wow, that's insane. And obviously, me being me, I then went down an absolute rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, FIFA had 70 members back then. It's like 180 now. And then I started looking at like CONCACAF qualifying somehow, because I then started looking at that group, because obviously Mexico get a space, because this is the thing, right? So a lot of this is all like old boys club type stuff, right? So like Mexico and CONCACAF get a space, and have always been guaranteed a space forever. Mexico are like do you know that Mexico have qualified for like the most World Cups without winning it? I think of all of the teams that haven't won it, they've like absolutely, because if you think about it, no one else in CONCACAF has got any footballing pedigree like Mexico, or population and all the other stuff, right? And then they were in it from the beginning. So they were the first competition, right? So but once you're in that first competition, you've got a bit of footballing pedigree, and everyone's like, well, yeah, you can come along to the next one. So Mexico get a fucking, like, so you've got a continent of like 50-odd countries that gets a place against Australia or someone else to qualify, or North Korea, I think it would have been in this one. And then you've got like Mexico just having to beat like Grenada, or not Grenada back then, but like, you know what I mean? Like someone rubbish to get one spot that they get anyway, and they would get it all the way through. So that's the reason why they were so thin, because Mexico were like almost uncontested. If you think every World Cup through like '66, it's Mexico. I don't know if there was one in '62. Obviously, they were hosts in '70. In '74, I think the place goes to Haiti, so they get there, and then it goes back to Mexico. 78 is it Mexico? No, 82 is El Salvador, and El Salvador. Is there another one? There must have been a couple more, because obviously by then you're then looking at more than one spot. But El Salvador were there. 86, Mexico host again. 90, they get banned, so they don't go, but they're because they're banned. And I think America gets it with Costa Rica and who's the other one? Maybe it's just America and Costa Rica. Maybe there's only 2 spots. And then 94, they go again. So like I said, like they've got a bit of pedigree because they're just allowed to go. They always get a spot, but like Africa, like I said, tons more countries don't get a chance to go to the World Cup, or don't get a chance to have things. And then like I said, going down the rabbit hole, as it says, I then start looking at like the Netherlands, Antilles, and Suriname and stuff like that. Like, and then looking at it, and Suriname beat Trinidad 6-1 in the qualifiers with a Cliver on the score sheet. And obviously, I'm assuming that Patrick Cliver is of Surinamese descent. I don't know whether he's relative, but brilliant. Like, the Netherlands Antilles. Heard of the Netherlands Antilles before? Started reading up on them. That's what Curacao is now. Like, that split up, and it was Curacao, Aruba, and somewhere else. Like, I can't remember now. No, it wasn't Suriname. No, Curacao, Aruba, and someone else. Basically, in 2010, they split. It's a bit like, do you remember a couple of episodes ago, I talked about reading up on like a stalemate between like two, it was like Guatemala and Panama. Do you remember? Yeah. And I said to you, like, there was they took them to the international courts. It was like that. I just go off on like this thing all the time on like random, and that's how my brain works. That's how my son's brain works, and that's how my brain works, which is why we're a match made in heaven when it comes to like the World Cup.
I've got to see the end of this story. I've got to see how it ends up. Like, no, I get it. I'm the same with everything. I'm terrible. If I start a film, no matter how bad I think it is in the first 5 minutes, I have to finish it just to confirm my theory, which ruins everything. But it goes back to that point where it was, I said 66 was actually a turning point for a lot of changes in things that happened. So then, was it 70? Africa were guaranteed one spot at the World Cup. And it shows you how long things take to change, because we actually then didn't get to this year. Obviously, we've got the expanded tournament, but the tournament actually wasn't expanded until, 98 when it went to 32
Well, no,
teams.
you have 82. You have 82 because it's
82
16.
went up once.
You have 16 in 7. So from pretty much from the beginning of like time, it should always be 16. So like, and obviously you get people to pull out and stuff. So like I think you get 13 in 1930. Then I think you kind of get 16 in 34, but there's like a playoff. Then you get 16 in 38. 50 is supposed to be 16, but like people pull out. And then it's literally consistently 16. And then you get to 82 and they go 24. And obviously at that point, they're probably being a bit like, oh, we'll do 24. We'll let you have 2 spots, Africa, or whatever, or however. I mean, I think it's 3 spots actually in 82. And then it's like, oh, how do we actually make this work? Because they were being a bit snobby about it still, because they're like, oh, we don't want to reduce the quality of the competition by giving it to too many people. So we'll make it 24, but actually you can't make 24 work because obviously that makes 4 groups of 6. How do you make that go into a play? And that's where you get the best runner-up thing that you currently get with the European Championships. But well, in 82, you don't even get that. 82, you get a second group stage. 82, you get a second group stage with 3 teams, and then that produces your semi-finalists. Which is all a bit weird, but like pretty cool. And then 86, I actually like the European Championship format. So then you 86, 90 and 94, you get that 24. And then like you say, 32 then happens in France 98. And that's when you then start getting like 32 is probably the optimum World Cup size.
Yeah.
The one thing I do like about like I'm a bit of a sucker for like the big teams and like giving them a chance to get through. Like Germany going out in the first round of 2022, and in 2018. Like if they had a 2014 World Cup, they sneak through in third, and then they probably get another chance, and then they just go through and win it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you see Argentina get to the final in 1990 doing that. So like, there's a little bit of that, but like it probably that probably isn't that fair when you think of it, and like the 32 is probably the optimum thing, and it obviously gives you the opportunity to then say, right, okay, for 32 teams, we're going to have, I think it's like 4 Africans in 32. You're 4 Africans, 3 from CONCACAF, something like 4 or 5 from South America, 4 Asians, I want to say, or 3 Asians, maybe 3 Asians, depends on Australia, and then you have the rest Europeans. So like, but even then it's skewed, like, think about how many countries in Europe. Why the hell do they get so many spots? Because Gilles Rimet was French, right? Because that's where it come from. Like, South America gets so many spots because they traditionally were like, the bastions of football. Like, Uruguay held it and blah, blah, blah. So like, it is very like, it's very hierarchical, very like closed off. And as you say, like 1966 was definitely a time when people were like, right, we're not going to start letting anyone into the old boys club now. And it was sort of like almost like the watershed of like, right, actually, we need to probably make this more of a world game. We need to get more people involved.
Definitely. And you see, the boycott allows probably for North Korea to come in and actually have a great run. Nearly to the semi-final.
Yeah. I mean, we talked, it's mad when you think they were like 3 up in a quarter-final. But you know what, and we kind of, I know we're kind of skipping ahead at the moment. We'll come to that. Probably go back, and that there's no real order to it anyway. But interestingly, on that North Korea, I know I remember again. I can remember being about 10 and watching like greatest moments of world soccer VHS with Brian Robson narrating, and it was the worst wooden thing ever. But it took my attention for like about 5 years. And they've got that North Korea game on it when they score against Italy, Pat Dutic, right? And what they never tell you, and sort of part of the anti-Italy propaganda that you get over here because everyone hates them because they're really defensive and stuff, is they're actually down to 10 men. I never realised until today that they played that game where someone got injured and they played with 10 men, which is probably why they lost. Not making excuses for them. Again, so another fascination of Jesse's, I said to him, Italy got knocked out and they go back to Italy and they get pelted with rotten tomatoes. It's just a thing they do whenever they play badly in a competition. They get back to the airport, get pelted with rotten tomatoes. I remember once Lazio had a load of manure dumped outside their training ground or something. It's just a thing they do. And he was like, oh, I want to see this. He was like, can you see it? And I'm like, well, no, you can't see. There was no cameras at they just happened. So he just picks up on like the randomest things and he's like, right, that's what I'm really interested in. I don't care about this football. I want to see someone get hit with a rotten tomato.
Yeah, that's kids. Mine would be the same. For definite, yeah. Can I throw the tomato? No, you can't. When can I throw the tomatoes?
We're
No.
watching football here.
Brilliant. Yeah. So the other thing you were saying, you touched on this when you were talking to Jesse about the World Cup. Actually, no subs, no gloves.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
chill.
again, yeah, definitely no chill, man. Like, no subs is hard, which is why you get that Italy going down to 10 men. Like, again, he was like, what, Pele was injured. Why didn't they just bring someone on? And I'm like, no, that's it, man. Like, he's gone. He's out. There's a game, I think, in 1930, I think the semi-finals, someone breaks someone's leg really badly, like with probably a tackle. He probably didn't get sent off. Probably just got told off by the ref, right? And they just play the game with 10 men. It's just a thing. Someone gets his leg snapped and they play with 10 men. And it's like, no, that's not fair. But surely that's not how you play, you know. And he was like, why wouldn't you? And like you say, the goalies with no gloves as well. Like he was like, why haven't they got gloves on? And then we saw Lev Yashin with gloves, and he was like, wow, that's the reason why he's probably the best goalie in the world at the time, right? Knew about gloves. And he was like, where's his hat? Why isn't he wearing a hat? And I was like, well, he just didn't wear a hat for that game. He's like, well, he always wore a hat when I've seen him. And I'm like, well, he just didn't have a hat on.
Concussion central with those balls as well. Like,
yeah, oh, God, yeah.
Mate,
yeah,
can you imagine?
Yeah, those heavy Slazenger balls. Slazenger.
Yeah, mate. Mate, imagine the weight of them wet as well.
Yeah, well, they're just brown balls. I think that's the last. Yeah. This is the last World Cup where you have a brown ball, isn't it?
Brown ball, yeah.
And it switches because there's I don't know if you've noticed, but I think England's opening game against Uruguay, they play with a white ball. And I know it's really weird. You probably haven't noticed because you're not a weirdo like me. But they play with a white ball in that game. And there's a couple of other games. Like I remember Eusebio maybe scoring against North Korea and playing with a white ball, because he runs in and picks it up and takes it and that. And then in a final, they definitely play with that brown heavy ball that you just associate with black and white football, basically. And I don't know whether that is because the final's going to be televised and they want to make it so that you can see it. I don't really get the...
Yeah, and because there was something like, I think when you watch the game in colour, the final that is, it looks orange the way it comes out on TV.
Yes, it's like a weird orangey,
yeah. Because it was the only way, because it would show on TV.
On a black and white TV.
Time. Yeah.
Again, sorry to keep making... This is going to become the Jesse podcast, right? So, like, another thing, we were talking about the Battle of Santiago in Chile, right, in 62, right? And about how Italy played Chile again this time round, right? And I said to him, do you want to watch the Battle of Santiago? And he's like, okay. And then it's just like one team in a dark kit with black shorts playing another team in a dark kit with white shorts. You can't really work out who's who, because obviously Chile are like red with blue shorts and Italy are blue with white shorts, but in black and white you can't see it. And he's like, I can't really tell what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, man, that's just how it is. Like, and then by the time we get to like 1970, he's just like, wow, colour. And I'm like, yeah, colour TV's here, mate. That's what happens.
It's here. Just imagine. I just had to write that down because I was like, do you want to watch the Battle of Santiago as a conversation? Yeah. Is hilarious.
I'm sure. Every dad is asking their 7-year-old if they want to see.
It's something you can imagine medieval kings saying to their sons, being like, "Do you want to watch the battle? This is how you learn. You want to watch the Battle of Santiago."
Warhammer geek. Yeah.
Yes. We're doing it to study World Cup. And can you imagine? So he probably thinks it's like this. It's like you could say to him, "This is what it's like to be colorblind." Because it was like even now, where's it? Thinking about rugby, is it last year was the first year where was it Wales and Ireland played each other, but they had to wear their less traditional kits because they'd always wear red and green. And if you're colorblind on TV, you can't see the difference. So it's last year was the first time when they weren't allowed to wear red and green.
Oh wow, that's really clear. Yeah, it makes sense. Do you know what I remember as a kid? I watched a game, Brazil-England at Wembley, and Italy, they beat us. Brazil-England at Wembley. They beat us 1-0. I think they beat us 1-0. And Muller scored for them. It was about 1991, right? And Brazil were blue, like instead of their yellow, and they made a massive thing of it on the BBC about how the reason why was because lots of people back in Brazil would have black and white TVs. And I don't know if it was really patronising about people in Brazil or what, but they were like, even in 1991, there'll be lots of people with black and white TVs and they won't be able to tell the difference between the yellow of Brazil and the white of England. And if you imagine that 2002 quarterfinal when Ronaldinho lobs Seaman Same thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? We never play them.
Yeah.
They don't wear yellow when we play them, do they?
No, never actually. Trying to think. Yeah, I can't imagine them. Can't remember if they've ever
You
worn
know,
yellow
one
when
of
we
us
played.
wears an away
Yeah.
kit. I can remember us playing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
I never thought of it like that. Yeah. Wow. There you go. And leading on to the theme of the World Cup, really, which was cards worked differently. They weren't really cards. You got told off. You got told to go off. You just got a telling off, and it was like you're off.
It's like it's either you either got telling off or you just literally marched off the pitch. There was some amazing,
lot of telling offs in this World Cup.
Yeah, it's pretty physical, isn't it?
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's because I've never and obviously so on another first, right? I think there is a no. So obviously you get the satellite they put up in the sky so that people can actually watch the games live, right? And I think that influences the television and media coverage of it, which is why you get more of that than you do other tournaments, like older ones. Because I know there are official videos pre-1966, because I think I've seen, and again, you'd be like, why? I think I've seen a 1954 official video or something stupid. It's like a little boy going around Switzerland, or maybe it's 58 where he's going around Sweden. I don't remember, but I've definitely seen it. But I don't remember. I know.
I know you mean it's one of those documentaries where he's on the train waiting to go to the next game.
You've probably seen it as well. And I don't remember why, or it being as physical. Like, I know football's physical. I know football was physical back then. I've made jokes about people barging the goalkeeper. But I don't know whether, seeing it continually for an hour and a half today made me go, wow, this is insane. There's a tackle with 2 minutes into the World Cup final, and I'm like, he's off. In 2026, he's not even getting VAR. He's off, and they're going to make a massive deal of that. And they won't just get up. It's a bit like the Vinnie Jones. Have you seen that Vinnie Jones tackle on Steve McMahon at the beginning of the '88 FA Cup final? Have you seen that? He absolutely takes him out, and they both just get up. It's baffling now because you wouldn't. This would never happen.
It just and I think, like you say, you see clips. You see a lot of it in old clips of Pele's games or something like that. You've seen him in games before where he's getting hacked. But it's that consistent hacking. And you're like, oh my God, that's a really bad challenge. And then the ball would roll off and it'll be an even worse one. You're like, oh my God. You're like, then this keeps happening.
When he gets literally hacked out of the game he gets hacked out of the game against Hungary, and then he gets hacked even more against Portugal. And at the end of the Portugal game, you can see him at the end. He's kind of half shaking someone's hand, half moaning at him for crippling him. And you're like, again, that just wouldn't nowadays. He'd be like, I'm never talking to that guy again. He's absolutely ruined my career. He's probably probably got. And I started to wonder. I was like, has Pele torn an ACL but doesn't realise? They have medicals. It's just crazy, insane. It's just awful tackles, awful. The quarter-final between Hungary and Russia, the opening goal, the Hungarian keeper catches it's a low cross, and he kind of gets down and gets it, and it's kind of it squirms, and a Russian just comes in and 2-foots him into the goal, and they give it. There's no one goes, oh, that's a foul. They just give it. You're like, no.
There's a few goals in that tournament where the keeper does exactly that. They capture it or they save a low shot, and they just kick it out of his hands.
Yeah, they barge him down.
It's hilarious.
It's insane.
It's no surprise.
This one in the final, I think we one of our players, it might be Jeff Hurst or whatever, goes in on Tarkowski in goal for Germany, and he kind of almost kicks out of him, and it's a bit like leave me alone sort of thing.
He goes to elbow him into the goal. Yeah. He goes like that, and then he goes to literally elbow him into the goal. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And
we sound like Sean Dyche, don't we? Both of us moaning about people not being able to do that anymore.
What's it come to?
Yeah.
Another first. Then we won't be surprised at night. This was a direct result of why cards came into 1970.
Cards and subs actually.
Cards and
actually,
subs,
no, that's not true. That's not true. I'll tell
subs came into.
I think subs came in before 66, but didn't come into the World Cup. Do you know who the first substitute was ever? It's an interesting fact for you. Keith Peacock. Gavin, do you remember Gavin Peacock? You're probably a little bit too young. Played for Chelsea, QPR, I think, as well, in the 90s. You're probably like a baby. I was a teenager, you were a baby. But his dad was the first ever substitute in 1965. But the first World Cup with substitutes is obviously 70. But as you say, the card thing, because obviously you've got that quarterfinal, again, another one that's brilliant, the Rattan sending off, or Ratin or whatever sending off, where he gets sent off for the look in his eye. The most dodgy fucking bit of refereeing I've ever seen in my life. And he takes ages to go off because like he can't even work out that he's been sent off because he can't speak. I think the lino or the ref is like
you didn't have to be
German
multilingual. He's German.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, exactly. Nowadays you have to be able to speak the language. Like, and lots of people can speak English. And now they were just like, well, I'm telling you off. You have to just work it out. And like you can see on the side, there's like a guy. There's like one of the backroom staff is on the side, like trying to work out with the lino what's happened. And Ratin's like, no. And they're like, no, you've got to go. You're off. And there's no way of going. And that apparently was the reason why they came up with cards, wasn't it? Because apparently someone was watching it and was like, if only there were a system where he could know that the ref has cheated him out of this game.
Because he was like pointing out, just gesturing off, and he couldn't understand him. So he was like, and then he couldn't work out what he said he couldn't work out. I'm sure he probably could.
Well, he probably
but
could,
you're not going to. Yeah. And they were like, yeah. So, and they reckon that was a big factor in why, the Swiss was the referee for the final? Because he was multilingual. Because they knew he could speak.
English
so that was
and German.
Yeah,
Mate,
that's why they picked him
that.
for the final.
Every day
so
it's
they
a
were
school
like,
day,
they didn't want to repeat. Yeah, see?
Yeah, Jesse's going to find that out tomorrow morning now. Every day's a school day.
Yeah, and then press headlines was Ramsey calling everyone dirty.
Animals, yeah. Refusing to let them swap shirts. Yeah. Do you know, all right, so here's one I didn't actually watch today, right? So a bit of Argentina, I've taught Jesse this already. So 1958, and I read this in a book, and this is Jonathan Wilson. Can I just say also, I made a couple of errors in the last pod. I talked about Jonathan Wilson and Eric Cantona. It was actually Michael Cox that said that. I'm pretty certain it's Michael Cox that talked about Eric Cantona being the guy that sits behind the forward and blah, blah, blah. If you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to the last pod. It was really good. And the other one was, I also mistakenly said that I said Christoph Dugarry was better than Cantona when I was actually talking about Yuri Djurkaev, which is why Carlos was looking at me like I was mental, because he was like, what do you mean Christoph Dugarry? Anyway, going back, Jonathan Wilson did write this in Angels with Dirty Faces. Great book. Suggest you read it. Jonathan Wilson, you got a free plug there from me. He talks about, in 1958, Argentina go to World Cup in Sweden, and they play Yugoslavia, I think it is, and they get absolutely battered. And basically, until that point, Argentinian football is very pretty and easy on the eye, and like very South American. And they get basically out-muscled by the Yugoslavs. Yugoslavs are just bigger than them, stronger than them, this, that, and the other. And they get beat like 5-1. It's like, and it's called like the disgrace in Stockholm or something. I can't remember. And anyway, they go back home and the media takes it really badly and everything. And everyone's like, well, we are never going to have that happen to us again. We're just never, ever, ever going to go to a World Cup and get bullied like that. Because obviously the way forward is to be physical in football matches. And we're getting out-fought by Europeans. Because Argentina, like, you know, in South America, not just Argentina, but like, it's a big thing. You know, people look at World Cups as like a cultural event. And it's like, right, we failed tremendously here. But going to this World Cup, being undercooked, got beat by thing. So from then on, they're like, right, we are going to go and we are going to be as physical as we can. Uruguay are already quite physical. I'm going to talk a little bit about Uruguay being quite physical in a bit. It's amazing. There was my stereotype about Uruguayan footballers. It's just physical. It's brilliant. It's not Uruguay if someone doesn't get sent off. But Argentina, they become really physical. And there's a thing as well where they go to like a press conference in '66 and there's like a misunderstanding about them and they're labelled rough and this, that, and the other, and they don't like that. And there's this whole thing, and then obviously it then culminates in the Ratin sending off, and then Alf Ramsey calling them animals. And then you sort of like fast forward, and then you have the Falklands War, and then obviously Maradona punches the ball in, and that's the reason why in '86 they're a bit like, fuck you lot, man. You lot done us over in '66. Like, if you're going to do that to us, like, so be it. Like, we've handled the ball, yeah, great. One with the head and one with the hand of God or something, or a little with, yeah. So, like, that's why they're like a bit, but now Argentinian football has gone the other way, or since '58 went the other way, and there's lots of like Copa Libertadores finals, like where, and again, the Libertadores not the Libertadores. The winners of the Libertadores would play, obviously, in the World Cup final between the winners of the Champions League, European Cup, whatever you want to call it, right? They have won way more than we have, right? Because they take it really seriously, and they're like, this is a show of how good our football is. But a lot of those games would turn into like brawls. Because they'd just be like, well, fuck it, we're going to kick the shit out of AC Milan or Real Madrid or whatever. Like, and that was how
it was renowned for picking up injuries, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's why players then stopped putting their first players on it.
Yeah. People are like, yeah, we don't want to go. Like, we don't want to take it as seriously. Fly to Tokyo to get lumps kicked out of us or whatever. Yeah, so like that is it. That is all. Sorry, back to the point. That is where it all started from. That whole tournament is where Argentina then kind of get labelled animals, and they take unkindly to it. And Alf Ramsey, seeing him like pull a shirt out of like, I think it's like Bobby Moore's hands or something, like because he's trying to swap shirts with someone. So Bobby Moore or like Nobby Stars, and he's like literally like almost ripping the shirt, trying to stop him. I think it is Bobby Moore. Yeah. That's really cool. But on the Uruguayan thing, right, this is amazing. I don't know if you say, so the quarterfinal, they play Germany. Did you see that? You watched Goal as well, right? The video, right?
Yeah.
And they play Germany, and it's 0-0, and they're all over the Germans, and it's like, oh, we might win this. And then Germany score like a deflected goal. And I don't know whether they just think, oh, this is really unfair. But it just all goes to shit. And they're just like, well, fuck this then. We're just going to kick lumps out of them. And two get sent off in like one passage of play. And one of them, as he's walking off, just slaps a German around the face. And I'm like, that's a 5-game ban or whatever it is. Like, you're not, your FIFA probably ban you from another World Cup if you did that now. Like, but like, he just literally like, yeah, slap as he's walking off. And it's amazing. Again, it's like, it's such a different world.
But I reckon that was the game, wasn't it? Where it was like, where all the referees, European referees, because they were mainly all European referees, became biased against via South American teams. They were like, well, clearly they're here to be physical and not actually play football. So they literally then were just more. You see their decisions just went against the South American teams a lot more than any other. And team.
you get 4 Europeans in the semis, right?
Well,
as a result.
Exactly. Yeah, it was chaos. It was literally the slap. 2 of them were actually told to leave the field that game. Wasn't
that's what I mean. Yeah, in that bit of play, there were 2 people got sent off at the same time. It's insane. It's so funny. Oh god. And then like you've got, like I said, on the whole quarterfinal thing, like we said before, like then you got the flip of it, and you've got like North Korea versus Portugal, Portugal looked really like virtuous. Like in that, like they were a bit like, well, we're just going to play football. If we're better than you, we're better than you. If we're not, we're not. We're not going to try and cheat. We're not going to try. Although I say that they absolutely hacked Pele to bits, so that's not completely true.
I was going to say it was like the opposite of what they tried to do against Brazil.
Yeah. But they were like really like, North Korea are 3-0 up. Let's start playing now. And Eusebio scores, and he just runs off and gets the ball, and he's like, and it's just really like, there's no like franticness to it. And then in the semi-final. And I put this in my notes. They're 2-0 down against England. England scored their second goal in 80 minutes, right? And I saw Eusebio pulls one back, right? And I had to go and look at the time of it, because I was like, that's a really weird reaction for someone who's pulled one back to make it 2-1 in a World Cup semi-final for his country's first ever World Cup as well, right? He scores on 82 minutes. There are still 8 minutes of time to play. I don't know what they did back then with like, you know, like whether you played the minutes for the subs and that. I don't know. Well, there were no subs, right? But I don't know how the referee did it. I don't know, right? But there are 8 minutes left in that game, and he trots off like it's 10-1, and he's just got one back. I'm like, get the fucking ball, man.
Eusebio always reminds me of, I think, in that North Korea game especially, you know, when they've got the one kid at school who's just amazing, and it's
and he's better than everyone.
I'm going to show up now. I'm just going to. You've annoyed me, and he does actually just get the ball and actually does what he means to do. He's like, this guy's really good. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
There's like a volley that scores. There's like a volley that he scores, and it's like he just absolutely, the ball just sits up and he just smashes it through everyone into the goal, and he's like, that'll be
shoots from the halfway line. Yeah, done. It tells a guy. We've played football. I was thinking about this earlier. We've played football with a guy like that. Do you remember Nigel's mate? And we used to play 5-a-side pitch football.
Oh my god, yeah.
And he used to get, and then if he got angry, we used to kick off, and he just used to shoot and score, and we'd be like, oh right, okay.
It was like
done.
And this is just to prove that, like, we could never, ever set foot anywhere near a football pitch. He was like playing non-league, getting paid, but like for like a crap non-league team. I don't even know who it was, right? And he would come and play seven-a-side of us, and it would look so easy for him. He would make the game look so slow, so everything. And I'm like, how is it so? And he'd get like 10. We'd like win 11-0 and he'd score 10 of them.
Effortless, literally effortless. I think that's an interesting conversation I had with someone quite recently. They were like, "Oh, how would you describe the difference between people lower league?" And I was like, "You don't realise the difference between your mate and the lowest. Think of the lowest level of football you can think of, and the speed and which they play football and how comfortable they are with it and how much different it's levels. Like that alone is levels."
I've got an interest. So yeah, like I said, my brother played semi-professionally, and I didn't. So I'm nowhere near his level. Second mention he gets, he better be watching. And I played the other night. I play on a Sunday night with some pals, and one of the guys that arranges it is the manager of Wickford Town, who are like, I don't even know what step they are. They ain't good. They're not like, they I think they enter the FA Cup and stuff like that, but they ain't good. And I played a bunch of boys that play for Wickford Town. They were all about 19 the other night on a Sunday. And we won, but we won because they were fucking around. These boys were doing things that like, one of them was so quick. I was like, oh God, am I that old now? Like, am I just that old that this boy... And bear in mind, I'm playing goal, right? So, like, just so everyone know, I play goal. I'm all right. I'm quite... I'm better than your average non-semi-pro in goal, right? I can competently play. And I've had people say to me before, you could probably have played for, like, 20 quid a week or whatever. Nothing good. Like, people said to me, you're all right in goal.
Paid
And I
travel.
fancy myself, right? These guys were like... I don't know if I forgot how good semi-pros are. And like I said, Wickford Town, they were like switching balls, just switch the ball, bring it down, switch the ball. And obviously it's just the speed at which we play is just so much easier. Like, and obviously like, I was playing with a bunch of guys. I was probably the only youngest on the team and I'm 45. Like, we were all like some of the guys there have played semi-pro that I played with, but they're all like wrong side of 50, like, or wrong side of 45. These kids were like, honestly, it's like you watch it and you're like, oh my God, yeah, there's a difference in level completely. Like, it's this complete like chasm between being able to like do things at pace. And I see it with my boy. My oldest boy plays football at a decent grassroots standard, like very good, very good grassroots standard. And all he has to do is play like a league down in a cup game. And you see the time he gets on the ball. And all of a sudden he'll look like Pele. But like if he plays against people in his league, then it's really difficult. And like you just see, and especially my Jesse, the football star, who's going to be on there just doing for the archives with like me rather than playing. But he plays all right. But like the level he plays at, you look at him and you're like, you wouldn't even see the ball if you were playing with my oldest boys lot, because like you're not that thing, and that is Eusebio against North Korea. And interesting, I think he scored more goals than he played matches, which is another insane stat. Him and Gerd Muller, I'm pretty certain, and I'm probably wrong, I'm probably going to get like thing, but I'm pretty certain that both of Gerd Muller and Eusebio scored more goals than they played matches, which is an insane stat.
Ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. Like, that is, Eusebio, I'm kind of not surprised at, but that is, I think people forget about how good Eusebio was as well.
Yeah.
Like, he's one name that people, I think, forget to bring up or just be like, no.
Because Portugal, he's Portuguese, isn't he? And it's a time when Portugal's football isn't like what it is now. Like, it's only after the 90s that Portuguese football gets good. And then, like, you don't have, like, like, now everyone's like, oh, Portugal, like, Ronaldo, blah, blah, blah. But, like, like, that's really, like, the Rui Costa, and not even that, the João Pinto and São Pinto, those guys were the first lot that come along. And before that, Portuguese football wasn't that good. I think that was their first ever World Cup, 66. And then they didn't go to another one till 86. And then now they're like, now if they didn't get to a World Cup, it would be like, wow, they haven't qualified. So, like, I think that's why Eusebio gets forgotten about, because he only went to one. And also, then you don't really get to see them.
They've never been consistent.
Yeah.
And like, even the tournaments now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I would say I don't massively rate Portugal in international football. I think they've had good teams. They've had good teams in the past, but I don't think they've necessarily got a good team now. I think lots of people just think of Ronaldo. players that they've seen in the Premier League, and they go, oh yeah, Portugal. I know wrong, they are good, but they're not. You know, I don't think they're that level that's like, oh, they're ever going to win a World Cup. They won Euro 2016, good side, but you know, even then they kind of were underdogs in that and this and that. But like, if you look at it, like you Sabia didn't really get a chance to kind of like, other than for Benfica, which he was a god at, he didn't get a chance to do it on the international stage because obviously you've got a European Championship, which is just 4 teams. So it's like you've got to get to that semi-final, that weird semi-final they do where you play, and then a World Cup, which is 16 teams, and Portugal, you know, are in the top, I don't know, 10 or whatever that go to the World Cup in Europe. Or
well, that's it. And the European final, like Benfica and stuff, that you didn't get the coverage that you'd get.
Yeah,
anywhere
of course.
near as
It's
now.
not on like TV
it
it is now, is it? Yeah, no one cared.
Exactly. So that was, but was this the first one where they had, I'm trying to make sure my notes, it was the first time that the World Cup they had seen a black captain as well.
So
in 1966.
I don't know.
Because I was trying to it came up in the research and I was like, is it? And I was trying to think of other international teams that may have played.
Well, Uruguay might, but I don't know. Did Uruguay? Because Uruguay had really good black players in the 20s and 30s. So I don't know though. So like, it might be. But like Portugal's captain's black. I noticed that, and I was like, that's pretty fucking groundbreaking. Like, because obviously
playing in England as well. Like,
yeah.
Like that's,
you know, England. I don't think England was the most progressive place in 1966, but at the same time, I don't think it was pretty. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't like, you know, oh, what's this guy doing? But like, it was very. I was like, wow, like this guy's been leading out because he walks out with Bobby Moore at the front, and I'm like, oh, is he the captain? Wicked.
And you think on TV and a big scale, like things like that as well, like it would have been noticeable. Yeah, it definitely.
Because obviously, and obviously back then as well, like we were saying, we don't have African teams. We don't have African teams there. You don't have many from outside of, say, South America going. So, like, in South American teams, like, you've got Brazil that have got lots of black guys, but Argentina have got black people who don't really tend to play. Uruguay have loads, but they don't really. I don't know whether. I'm trying to think. Well, there might have been a Uruguay, but I don't know whether they're captain, though. I think they've had lots of players that were, like, very good and star players that were black, but I'm not sure they had black captains. So that was it.
That's like Brazil, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of it. Someone can write in. If anyone's listening, write in and tell us.
And I love, obviously, conscious of time. There's a lot of controversies in terms of tackles and everything. Disallowed goals theme, USSR, Germany.
So I remember a big thing about that game, but I don't. You're going to have to talk me through that one because I haven't. I know the USSR weren't happy, right? And they think that they've been robbed in that semi, right? And
I think they had two disallowed goals, I think, yeah.
Ah, really? I didn't see, so that's what. So that wasn't on goal. So I haven't seen it, but I have heard there was controversy in the semi, and they were a bit disappointed about decisions that didn't go their way. Because obviously it's the middle of the Cold War. You can't have the USSR winning the World Cup. They'd already won Euro 1960, so it was like, God.
And everyone thinks that the only war tension game was the final because of the fight, it being the final, but actually USSR Germany was a bigger because it was more current in that sense.
Well, also it's West Germany, isn't it? It's West Germany.
Yeah,
so like West Germany represents the opposite of the USSR, isn't it? It's like
yeah, exactly. It's Lev Yashin's last World Cup as well, because obviously he had played in a few by that point.
I think he'd done 50. Did he do 58? Done 62, definitely. But yeah, and obviously won Euro 60, like I was saying.
Yeah. So they just think they obviously before you get to the final, it was just another game. People again think the big disallowed goal at the final in that sense, but actually, the allowed goal rather is the USSR game. Yeah, there was 2 disallowed goals, so it caused chaos where they're like, nope, we should have gone through. We should have won that game, and it all kicked off at the end of that game as well. Don't know, but as I said, conscious of time. You've made a note. I didn't pick up on this. Germany training in full kit.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Like, it's so 1966. It just wouldn't happen now. You'd have had a training top that you try to sell to kids for like 50 quid or whatever. You wouldn't be training your full-on home kit at training. They went to a training session, and the German players were like doing planks and stuff like that, like in a training session. And then it just cut to a couple of guys that were just wearing the kit at training. Like 2 days before the final. This is amazing. It's such a 1966 thing. Like, people are so unfit. They probably went home and washed it and wore it for the final.
My first thought when I read this was, they have time to wash it. Do you think it was washed?
Absolutely wore that same kit in the final, didn't they? No
Yeah.
way they was a kit man that made another or had another one.
No
Yeah.
way.
Such a
and they-
1966 thing.
Did
It's
they
brilliant.
get it washed? Did it have stains on it when they walk out?
Yeah,
That's
especially
something you
white,
should try.
isn't it? Yeah, completely
Yeah.
white kit on the grass. You're dicing with death there a little bit.
It'd be interesting because when you watch the colours, so we mentioned this earlier, on my England DVD box set, where it was before recent years, where it was our best games ever, including
Ricky's
win
got
against
the
Holland.
greatest England's greatest football moments on DVD.
Yeah. Four games. It's England Netherlands in Euro 96, the 5-1 of Germany.
Emil Heskey giving it.
Yeah, going for it. And there was the World Cup 66 film. And then there was a double disc of I think it was called something like Forever England or something. And I'm sure it was the England West Germany final, where it was in black and white and one in colour. With it.
Guys, this is just want to relive it like your granddad did.
You know, it's like when you turn over on BBC Two on a Sunday morning, it's like World War II in colour. It's like, I don't know if I want to see this in colour, but everything's just high res and it's like as bright. We can only make it bright. It's hilarious. So you can't. I was thinking, I wonder if I'll have to dig out that DVD and go and see it. But I think you won't be able to tell if the German kit's got any grass stains on it still, because it was literally so bright as they walk out, because they can't do anything else with it.
Yeah.
Like you say, and that's why the ball looks really orange whenever you see.
Because they.
It's hilarious. I'm gonna have to go and find that now to go and see.
Please do, mate. Please do.
So
and then my last note, really sort of note. Obviously, I said about the final and tackles, and there was a first minute one that literally, and I said to myself, how did it take till 1990 for someone to be sent off in a World Cup final? And I don't know whether the referees just were like, yeah, it's all right. But more importantly though, does Jeff Hurst score a perfect hat-trick? And how have I missed this if he does? Because the first one's a header. I think the second one is a right foot. The one that swivels on his right foot, hits it off the bar. And then they think it's all over. It is now. It's left, isn't it?
It is a perfect hat-trick. And I only know because, this sounds really bad, I scored one when I was a kid.
The England Forever DVD?
No, it's not in that commentary. I remember as a kid doing it and my dad telling me, you're some sort of Jeff Hurst or something like that. And it was and that was the only reason why it's ever stuck in my head. And I never knew about perfect hat-tricks until that moment. And yeah, it was amazing. But yeah, left foot, right foot, header. So you don't see it often now.
I tell you what, I will give him his flowers. You can't, none of this penalty rubbish that Mbappe did in 2022. Was it 2 pens in that? Was it 2 pens? Yeah, rubbish. Proper hat-trick, that is.
Do it in real time.
He's a West Ham man.
Mate, those goals, there's some goals as well, to be fair. And to come on in the way he did, because you remember the whole thing of the tournament was he didn't really play.
Yeah, it should have been Jimmy Greaves, isn't it?
Yeah, that's mental.
Yeah.
He comes on, does the job.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, England's forward situation is very, you've got Roger Hunt from Liverpool, who scores twice against France. Got a couple. I think, does he get one against? Does he get the goal against Argentina as well? I think he gets a goal against Argentina and maybe against France. And then you've got Bobby Charlton, obviously our all-time top scorer, and then Jimmy Greaves just sat there. Jimmy Greaves just never was able to, And I think, is he injured? He's injured, isn't he?
He gets injured, yeah.
Yeah, which is obviously a shame for him. But he just never quite does it. Bearing in mind, this guy is absolutely... He's like the Gerd Muller of English football, isn't he? He absolutely just scores goals for fun everywhere. Everywhere he goes.
Statues of him and everything, yeah.
Ridiculous goals. Yeah. And then he plays internationally, doesn't score, as many, does score, but not as many. And then, ends up with his replacement getting a hat-trick in the World Cup final. It's just a bit it's a bit of an anti-climax still, probably, and that's probably why people don't remember him as well. It almost should have been him, right? And
big people think he plays a lot earlier, Like his career was like 10 years, like 10, 15 years earlier than what it actually was because of that.
Because of
like,
the
because they
later
just
part
assume he
doesn't
would have
really...
been in the same conversation. They forget that he actually was there, or he could have been there. Yeah, no, I think you're right with that. But do you see that as another? Obviously, there's that big thing, isn't there, where West Ham wins the World Cup, but it does show you what chemistry means to a lot of players. Like, he's come in at that game, he has a lot of natural chemistry with the spine of that team. Like, isn't it?
Maybe,
That adds to it.
maybe. I think he's confident though, isn't he? Like, more than anything. Like,
Yeah.
you think he's won the FA Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, and now he's gone and won the World Cup. And like the same could be said for Bobby Moore, captaining them, and for Martin Peters as well. Like, it's kind of like, we're used to playing here at Wembley, because I think all 3 finals are at Wembley as well. Like the FA Cup final obviously is at Wembley, the Cup Winners' Cup final is at Wembley, and then the World Cup final is obviously at Wembley as well. So like, this kind of like, oh, we do this every year. So there's probably a bit of familiarity about that, a little bit of pressure taken off by, playing at that place.
And it's a big pitch as well, Wembley. I think like then as well, there was not as much regulation on sort of size, and that was a bigger pitch than most pitches.
Yes, I remember
So
that
definitely
when I was a
would
kid.
affect that.
I can remember that as a kid. Like, Wembley was always massive, wasn't it? It was about
Well,
sapping people's legs.
It was for years, wasn't it? Because I remember when was it the year Arsenal decided to play their European games there, and
Stuart.
they couldn't just literally couldn't keep up with how wide the pitch was. Especially when you think our home pitch was the smallest in the league.
The tiniest, Highbury was really narrow, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember that. It's the worst place to go and play afterwards.
It was like, oh yeah, we need to stretch our game. We'll go to the widest pitch, and it actually had the opposite effect. Hence why we only did it for once.
Did you ever go to the old Wembley? Were you old enough to go to the old Wembley?
Not for a game. I did a tour.
Oh man,
that's about as much as I did.
I went to England, Mexico in 1997. I think Robbie Fowler and Ian Wright scored. I want to say 1-2-0, and I know why they knocked it down. It was the worst view I've ever seen at a football. I was like, like people moan about West Ham and say, oh, the running track. No, mate. That West Ham, I've been, like, obviously I'm a West Ham season ticket holder, and yes, I have a season ticket in a decent place, which actually isn't that bad for football. It's actually pretty much like going to a normal football match. There is no way there is a view in a game that's like, I was down low behind the goal, like you've got that fucking speedway track or whatever it is in the way. It was the worst view. It was like they were in a different state. I was wearing binoculars to watch the game or something. It was crazy, and I remember literally just being a bit underwhelmed. I was like 16. I was like, oh, this is a bit. It's all right.
I remember when I see pictures of it, it always reminds me of the pitch in Munich, where the track takes up so much space. Really, always. That's what I imagined it to look like from watching, where it's like you were so far away. I went to I went to the first ever game at the new Wembley.
I did as well. What, Italy? Frill?
Yeah. It was
we didn't even know each other at that point, did we?
No.
We didn't even know each other. I was there. Gianpaolo Pazzini got a hat-trick.
Yeah. Because there was that, and then there's the Scotland game they played a little while after, or is it in the October?
I remember that. Because I know there were like test events, weren't they? Because like they couldn't open it up fully. It was like 30,000 or whatever. David Bentley scored for England.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many he got. He didn't get a hat-trick, but he got maybe 1 or 2. But Gianpaolo Pazzini for Italy got a hat-trick. It was a 3-3 draw. I was there, went with all my mates. We got tickets.
Oh, really? Well, it used to be a lot easier to... Yeah, I'm trying to make sure. It used to be a lot easier to get tickets. And went to Scotland and Brazil. Went to that one with the first official where it was full, I think. But it was... But I remember those first few games, I sat in completely different places and everywhere being like, I can see perfectly wherever I am.
Yeah.
This is great.
It's been made for people to be able to just see it all. Like I haven't been for a while now. I've been to a few games at the new Wembley. I went to that one. I went to the playoff final where we beat Blackpool. I had a really crap seat, but it was still all right. I went to a Euro 2020 game. I went to Italy, Austria in the round of 16 of Euro 2020 as well, which was pretty cool. But it's always been, like you say, that the view is pretty cool. You don't really have a bad view at the new Wembley. Whereas the old Wembley, honestly, if you're behind that goal, it might look great, like on TV, but bloody hell, man, so bad.
I've been lucky enough to sit in box at Wembley, at the new Wembley, and the seats, the view's no different. Like in that sense, I must say the view
Right.
from the normal seats, like I wouldn't pay extra to sit in there. We got it for we saw Man U win the FA Cup this. Obviously, my wife.
Which one?
Holly is
What,
Man U fan.
Palace?
Palace.
When Pardew did the little dance?
When he did the little dance, and I saw
Yeah.
an Palace ultra actually climb up tears, like to get to an angry Man U fan in the box, like literally, like
Lovely.
it was crazy.
Lovely.
It was.
Are you not impressed that I remember that?
I'm impressed that you remember. I tell you, we had a fun fact about that day. We had tickets to go see the Rugby Sevens, which is a big rugby day where you they do sevens tournaments,
at Twickenham,
and
right?
everyone, at Twickenham, everyone dresses up. It used to be a big thing. You go as fancy dress. So we went that morning to Twickenham, fancy dress, dressed up in I think I had a lifeguard outfit or something. I can't remember because I think the theme was under the sea that year, and we then had to leave halfway through to then hot foot it
Go to the cup final.
To go to the cup
Dressed
final.
as a lifeguard.
Dressed as a lifeguard.
Amazing.
So we got changed halfway, and I still had my lifeguard top on. And just as the game's about to start, we got these really nice seats in the box, and we didn't know if there was food available at the top because it was all rushing, so we picked up some pizza on the way up. So now we're in Club Wembley, and I've got this box of pizza and a lifeguard jacket. And as I've literally taken a mouthful of pizza, so Jeff Hurst walks past us and literally there, and I'm like lifeguard t-shirt, everything,
mate.
Literally,
having been on your stag when you were dressed as Pamela Anderson, I can only imagine what that looked like.
Pamela Anderson was not the worst outfit I had that weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a nice but also horrific thing to think you're going to meet one of your footballing heroes and you're not ready for it at all in that moment.
I tell you, the last story, we probably do need to wrap up soon, but this is completely unrelated to Wembley or the World Cup or anything like that. My favourite footballing player of all time, because I'm a goalkeeper and because I was teen of the 90s, is Ludek McCloskey. I met him on my 27th birthday in home base in Enfield, and I chased him down and got a picture with him. Bearing in mind, this is like camera phones have just about come out. It was on my Facebook. It was my favourite profile picture for about 2 years. Camera phones just came out, and I was like, "Yep, Ludo, come on." And his wife looked really fucked off. She was like, "Oh, fuck's sake, man." She was like, "What do you want?" And I remember chasing him down. I was like, "This is me now. I never need another picture." Lucky didn't make the wedding album.
It's hilarious. It's actually hilarious. I don't think I've hounded anyone. I don't think I've done that.
I have. Oh, mate, yeah. I've got no shame when it comes to stuff like that.
We did actually, we weren't even a footballer. We spotted Tim Lovejoy in Westfield, and it was really late at night, and he clearly had a few drinks, and we thought we were heading the way to the car park, but so was he going that way. So we were sort of unintentionally but intentionally following him, and he kept looking over his shoulder where it was so obvious because it was so late. There was only us three probably in that whole section of Westfield. Yeah. So we sort of just realised, and it just went off. We thought, no, we can't ask him. It looks like we're going to pounce on him.
Yeah. Poor Tim.
We figured, why was Alan Carr following me?
Lovely.
But cool. So 1966, lots to digest.
Yeah.
Lots there. We'll probably have to leave it there. Obviously, it ended with the great win, the only win for England. The fabled win.
And a shambolic defence of the title in 70 as well afterwards.
Awful. Was it?
Good.
Go on.
No, I was going to say something aside from 66, which is that England, this is a stat I always say to people, didn't qualify for a World Cup between 1958 and 1982 because... Oh, sorry, no, 62 and 82, sorry, not 58 and 82, 62 and 82, because they didn't qualify for 66 because they were the hosts, obviously. They didn't qualify for 70 because they were the holders. They didn't qualify for 74 because we were just crap and Tomaszewski done us. And then we didn't qualify for 78 either. So, we went 20 years without, 20 years in between two qualifications, which is an interesting stat for you.
Mental.
Yes, he knows that as well.
We've got to get him on as a special guest.
Yeah,
we'll have a quiz.
We'll do. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
On that note, I'm going to well, not me, but we're going to say goodbye and end it here. And we haven't come up with a theme for the next episode yet, so we'll have to think about that as well.
Yeah.
And get back to everyone. But I hope everyone's enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. And we'll hear again. Well, you'll hear from us again soon.
Yeah. See you later, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.